Hey everybody, how's it going? Brbteabreak here today with another World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth video. Today we're checking out the Feral Druid. If you want to see other Battle for Azeroth class changes, check out my playlist below where I have most of the classes covered and I'm adding a new class every single day. So the Feral Druid, it's very similar to the live version. I know I say this a lot, but it really is for the Feral Druid because the abilities haven't changed, the talents haven't changed, and the traits being gone don't change too much. But how you actually deal that damage, the damage breakdown, is massively different. Because we have a damage meter now, we can actually look at the damage breakdown. So, we'll go through that in a second though. We'll go through basic abilities, and the traits you lost also, and then we'll talk about the talents. So basic ability wise, your main damage dealing abilities, be it Shred, Rake, Rip, Ferocious Bite, Thrash, and Swipe, are all exactly the same. Nothing has changed on these abilities at all. One change for DPS is that Target's Fury now generates 50 energy, where on the live servers it only generates 20, and the buff lasts for 10 seconds here, where it only lasts for 8 seconds on the live server. One thing to know with this ability though is that it causes a GCD now, so even though we get 10 seconds of the ability, we're getting much less. We're losing at least 1 second. I can't tell my GCD right now due to the haste because there's no GCD timer in this, basic UI. So we're losing at least 1 second, probably 1.2 right now. So that kind of sucks to be honest, but it's an overall gain because you're getting more energy and also you'd be having the damage buff for longer than you currently would. Also, while you have the buff, your dots are still running anyway, so you're doing some sort of damage. Next is Dash has been changed. Dash now is a 2-minute cooldown. It's also less movement speed. It's 60%, but on live it's 3-minute cooldown and 70%. So you trade 1 minute off the cooldown for 10% less movement speed. That is definitely worth it in my opinion because you want to sprint more often, not really big long duration sprints. So yeah, an upgrade in my opinion. Next, and the last one really, is Stampeding Roar. Has been buffed. It's 15 yards here, where it's only 10 yards on the live server. So this is a massive increase. It's up by 50% when you think about it. And it's still really OP. It still gives you that massive speed boost for the same duration and same movement speed increase. So yeah, really, really good. You have gained Soothe. Soothe is now a default druid ability. It allows you to dispel targets of enrage effects, which doesn't matter in Legion, but in BFA, I'd argue, or it probably is about one boss per dungeon has an enrage effect at least. This can be really, really good. The one downside for the Feral Druid in this regard though is that to cast the ability you have to go out of your cat form. So that can kind of suck, but at the end of the day, if it's worth doing, you're going to do it anyway. So yeah, that's cool to have. Let's talk about traits now, because this is where some changes happen, but it doesn't change too much. The first one, I think really is a big one, is in your defensive abilities, Survival Instincts. Survival Instincts on live, the trait gives you 1 second increase per trait, so at least 4 traits in this, which is 10 seconds. I think this is fine being nerfed though, or being gone, the artifact, because Survival Instincts, by default, in my opinion, is the best DR in the game for any DPS. It's 50%, which is really high. It only loses to Shadow Priest Dispersion, which is 60%, but they can't cast anything during it, and loses 2 immunities. But this is a 2-minute recharge, not something like 3 minutes, and it lasts for a good duration. 6 seconds isn't too bad, and it's double charges. So on a fight like Argus, where all the damage comes at the back end of like the last phase, this is really, really powerful to have. At the same time, you still have bear form, so who cares? You're super, super tanky. One trait being gone that kind of matters a little bit for your damage breakdown and your resource generation is Shred has less crit chance now. Used to give a talent which gave you, I think, about 6%, 8% crit chance, which was nice to have. When you crit, you gain an extra combo point through your Primal Fury. So yeah, a little bit less combo point generation there, but not that big of a deal realistically. One thing for energy is Target's Fury used to give you a energy over time buff when you use the ability, but now that's gone. So even though the energy got increased by default here to 50, you gain less energy than you would on the live servers if you just had 4 traits. So this is technically a nerf for Target's Fury, but having it up front straight away can have benefits also. That's not saying that the energy over time was bad, but having upburst energy is sometimes nice, though it could be bad when you're trying to burst at something on the pool, for example. You have heroism, you have stuff like berserk, and you literally can't get low enough energy where you won't waste it, because remember also, you gain 50 energy. Let's do it here. We'll swipe twice here, and by the time we press this button, we already got it back, because the GCD is going to go around for 1 second also. So you have to be like 25 energy, not just something like 30, 35. It's a little bit awkward to work around that one. Also for AoE, Thrash used to reduce the energy cost of your next swipe, and that's now gone, so it's a little bit more cost on your swipe, but that's not too big of a deal realistically. And yeah, you see there, nothing changes really too much. You get slightly lower crit, so you get maybe a couple less combo points, and the rest are just damage things. And yeah, really, damage things can be fixed by just changing the numbers of the class. We'll do a bit of an auto attack dummy here, just trying to show you off the class a little bit. If I could actually spec out of things, I would, but I'm trying to spec on things maybe that won't be impactful. Kind of hard. Anyway, let's go through it here. So you still have stealth. Still want to open up with that, what's it called? Shred? That's it, shred. Break. Get one more combo point again. Do a bit of this. Oh, we can even do that also. Rip. And you really get the mash going on. We can see here, we're trying to spend it. Oh, wrong button. But yeah, you get the idea. Spam these. Shreds. You can do another one. We maybe can get... Man, look how long this bloody rake lasts for. Is it the same on live? I feel like on live I run out of, I run out of duration. 15 seconds, yeah, it's like a very long 15 seconds, that's all it is. But yeah, maybe your energy's faster by default now, I'm not too sure, it's hard to tell. But yeah, it is, it's working out. Let's show the damage breakdown though, because that's very interesting. You see here, auto attacks, your melee, do a lot of your damage, very interestingly enough. So, on live, they do about 5%, and it's not even a joke, maybe 8%, because you just don't do much auto attack damage. Now, the thing is, I'm kind of confused here. So the cat form says it does 40% increased auto attack damage, but when you go to the actual like Wildhead website and you check out cat form, it doubles your auto attack damage anyway. So I'm not sure if this is like 100% base and now 40% on top again, or it's just we just made it obvious and it's now only 40%. Whatever the case is, doesn't really matter your gameplay too much. All you need to know is that auto attacks are doing a very large amount of your damage. You still have Shred doing a good portion also. But you guys see here, the dots are still doing pretty good. And yeah, this can be skewed slightly. If you pick talents like Sabertooth, it means Ferocious Bite. In this case, it would actually probably be higher than my melee. Possibly, depends on the crits also. You can see here, how many crits did I get? 27% crit chance. That's not too bad at all. Not too bad. Exactly on the money, actually. That's pretty good. I think they picked a target dummy. They used to give you more crit because they were too low level. Anyway, so this Feral Druid does pretty good damage right now, but yeah, the breakdown is very different to the live version. Now, let's go through some talents. The talents, again, haven't changed too much, and I think that's fine because the talents work on live, and they're good. You have options, but they don't match what they're trying to do in BFA. So, 15, nothing happened. 30, we have a new ability, Tiger Dash. Replaces your normal dash, and this one has a 45-second cooldown, so about 2.5 times faster, and it gives you 200% movement speed, but it's only over 4 seconds, and it gradually fades away. Now, this is a very, very strong talent in my opinion. The main reason is that it's obviously a lower cooldown, but because you run so fast immediately, you end up covering the same distance as the live server anyway. So it's not like you miss out on anything for picking this. Like, it's just better than Dash in every regard. You travel the same distance over a faster period of time, realistically, and when you're dashing, you don't care about a marathon run of a normal sprint or a normal dash. You want that burst sprint. You want to run quick instantly. This is really, really good. One of the best like disengage movement abilities now in the game. Even rogues, if you talk about normal sprint, it's kind of slow, but they have obviously Shadow Step, which is busted. You still have Wild Charge though, which is very, very good. But yeah, it's good to see this Tiger Dash for Feral especially. It feels really nice to have. You feel more agile than a rogue when it comes to purely running, which I think is a very nice niche taste for them. Now, 45. Slight changes in all these ones here. Balance affinity is only 3 yards, where it's 5 yards on the live servers. So it just means your auto attacks won't be, you won't be hitting from cross country. It's still pretty good at 8 yards, but on live it's 10. So yeah, a little bit of a nerf there. Guardian affinity, now the frenzy region has been reworked. On live it gives you back health based on how much damage you've taken. Now it just gives you back 25% health over 5 seconds, so 5% per second. This is really, really powerful. The problem is, I guess there's only one charge now, but also you can't mess this up. On the live servers, if you do, if you go in the bear form and press Frenzied Region, if you're doing the proper, like, DRs through things like Survival Instincts, through things like maybe your team has a barrier, SLT, stuff like that, damage reductions, or mastery, you don't take much damage at all. And Frenzy Region is worse, and you have to actually be very smart about it. You need to have, like, weak auras for it to track the percentage healing. Now, there's just a massive amount of healing whenever you need it. And it's a good amount of healing. And in most situations, I think this is better than Frenzied Region on the live servers. Unless for some reason you have to tank the boss, in which case, God help you. So, yeah, not too bad there. Last but not least, Resto Affinity now has Wild Growth as default. So Wild Growth is really good because it's an AoE heal. And no other healer in the game, no other DPS class in the game, or DPS spec, can do an AoE heal outside of like a big 2-minute cooldown. Only other AoE heals in the game are Vampiric Embrace I can think of. We also have Ancestral Guidance if you're a Shaman player, and I guess Darkness technically if you're a Demon Hunter, but that's busted. So Wild Growth is an AoE heal. This is really good, obviously, in dungeons, if you need a bit of a heal between trash pools. Also in Expeditions, which is the new 3-man content in the game right now. This is a great way to heal your party up between pools. It costs a buttload of mana, but who cares? You don't spend mana when you're in feral form. So, yeah, really, really good in my opinion. Really great stuff. You can't really either by spamming regrowths, even though regrowth gives you the free one here with the feral Predator Swiftness even. So, yeah. Good stuff there. Really nice row. These are like just a nice change for all druid specs in my opinion. Really cool. 60 is the same. 75 is the same. Really interesting stuff. Brutal Slash is now better somehow. I think the damage is lower. I'm not too sure. I don't have the calculations exactly, but it'd have to be lower because now it's a 10-second recharge rate, where on live it's 12 seconds. So it just made the cooldown on the ability 2 seconds lower, which is ridiculous. So good. Now, granted, you don't always need 3 charges like continuously, but in dungeons this is really nice to have because you're always AoEing. But saying a fight like Brbteabreak, the difference between a 10-second recharge and a 12-second recharge doesn't matter because A, it dies too quickly, and B, you normally have all your stacks back anyway. I guess also now means haste has less of a value on it because 50% haste on 12 seconds is 6 obviously. And 50% haste on 10 is only 5. So technically you're getting more value out of the haste, I guess, but really you're not. So, yeah, interesting there. Not too sure how it's going to play out. The damage value is the thing that really will matter. But we can't tell yet. Like, we have a damage meter, sure, but unless you can go back to a current raid fight, which you will never find in the alpha, and hit the same boss and try and work out the damage breakdown, it's, yeah, a bit too difficult. Next, a 100, the only new talent for Druid, Feral Druid that is. It is now Feral Frenzy. So Feral Frenzy replaces Lunar Inspiration, Luna's Guidance even. Lunar Inspiration is definitely the 15 talent. So anyway, Luna's Guidance gave you back 5 combo points instantly. This does the same thing, gives you 5 combo points, but also has Ashmane's Frenzy in it, slightly your artifact ability, where it just deals a bunch of damage straight up, mainly the dot. So yeah, it costs a bit of energy, not too big of a deal, but it hits bloody hard. Now, the weird thing of this is that you want to use it, obviously, as soon as possible, because you want to get on that cooldown, but it doesn't get a benefit from stealth. So what do you open with? If you open with Shred, you then waste a combo point. You open with Rake. Rake's probably not too bad. I'm pretty sure that increased damage on Rake here when you stealth is only for the initial hit, which does nothing. But we'll show you here what I'm kind of talking about. We'll hit the boss. You'd have to also apply your buffs, because you need to be active for this. So, would you target's fury? I guess you maybe would. Maybe you delay your target's fury and all this stuff, but then you're wasting time. Anyway, something like this would be an example. Buff up twice. New frenzy. Apply the dots. Get back here with the shreds. Do some biting action. Max fury or frenzy even. Energy even again. Oh, wrong button. My bad. Fat fingers. But yeah. You can see here it does very good damage. That Feral Frenzy, 6k in the end, which is nothing to sniff at. Not bad at all, Buster Brown. But yeah, the Feral Druid just worked. It's the same as live, and I think the Feral Druid on live is very fun and very solid, good class to play. But that's the thing, I guess. Nothing has changed, which can kind of suck sometimes. It's similar to the Fire Mage in that regard, but I think the Fire Mage talents work, and there's slight changes in like how they're balanced and the like on live, the Fire Mage talents are really good. I think the talents aren't good to match what BFA wants. BFA, they want Rose for AoE, Rose for single target, they want Rose for like, you know, sustain or utility, stuff like that. And you kind of have that as Druid, but they all kind of melt together a little too much for my liking. So for example, let's look at 90. This is, I think, is one of the bigger ones here. You have Sabertooth, which is Ferocious Bite deals more damage, which is okay, and reapplies Rip automatically. So it's obviously single target increase, and maybe 2 target cleave, possibly 3 if you're really going nuts. So 2 target cleave, single target. Brutal Slash, unless I've totally messed up the numbers, is a purely AoE bursts talent. Okay, so AoE burst, that's a great thing we need to fill out for the Feral Druid. We don't have that ability otherwise. Savage Roar, increase all our damage. Okay, so that's single target and AoE. So we have, this line makes no sense. We have single target and 2 target cleave. Then we have all damage and for everything. Then we have burst AoE. So these are fine by default, but none of them match. If there's AoE, you always want to pick Brutal Slash. There's never a reason why you want to pick Brutal Slash in an AoE situation. But for something like the Mage, which I think is a great example, Mage has Living Bomb and Flame Strike and Unstable Magic as options. Unstable Magic is your lazy option, but also maybe your passive cleave, maybe your 2 target cleave. Living Bomb is your mass AoE, but also cleave where you need to do it on lots of mobs that are spread out. And Flame Strike, in the form of Flame Patch, is good for when they're not moving. But you don't have that option as Druid. Everything's the same. You just... AoE is this one. You don't get a choice. You can't pick Savage Roar for AoE because it's probably, I'm just going to assume, it's balanced poorly because it also has single target damage increase. You kind of have this also as 75, but not as much because they all increase all your damage. It's the thing again, like, Soul of the Forest makes it so your finishing moves give you extra energy back and deal more damage. So this is more likely a single target increase, but it does in a way increase your AoE because you need more energy back. Jagged Wounds does single target and AoE. Incarnation does all your damage. Like, what is going on with this talent tree? It works on live because all classes are like this, but on the alpha servers, most classes have been fixed, and Feral Druid has not been fixed. So I think that's the problem with the class right now. Obviously, the expansion is still multiple months away. Things can change. Something simple as a reshuffling. But the problem always with when it comes to Druid, when it comes to talents, is that they have 2 rows here, of 3 rows, sorry, 30, 45, and 60 that are always locked. And they're the same between all 3 specs. You have a movement row / heal, which is kind of weird. Then you have the affinity row, and then you have the CC row. So you're automatically just missing out on 9 awesome talents. Some classes only get 1 row of defensive options, and you get 9 as a Druid. So instantly you're so far behind every other spec. So I think this is what they have to fix. They have to fix this up here. Either make like Typhoon default, or maybe make it... You gotta just fix something here. It just does not work right now, my personal opinion. Mass Entanglement maybe is only for the healers. Maybe Typhoon's only for Boomkin. Mighty Bash and... Mighty Bash is only for the Cat and the Guardian. Maybe you have Guardian Typhoon also. Whatever, I don't know what the solution is. But... you need more talent options right now so you can move some of these things around. Because currently, there's no way to move anything. The talents are all cool, they're all interesting, but the rows don't make sense. But yeah guys, that is the Feral Druid. It works, it's fun, but it's not changing, and the talents are a bit lacking in my opinion. But a long way to go, as I said. So guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.